Everybody, it's Tari here from Money Matters for Everybody. And today I wanted to talk to you about kids and college. I was really encouraged this weekend to be involved in a conversation with another parent because I haven't really talked to parents necessarily. I've provided guidance to parents about before you send your child to college, really challenge whether the investment is going to be worth it, whether they're going to get a return on their investment, whether it's going to be useful. Some students don't even make it past the first or second year or even graduate at all because they're just lost and they don't know what they want to do with their lives. And then I don't know about you, but if I don't know what I want to do with my life, it's very difficult to finish a task like 4 years of college and take out sometimes student loans to pay for it. And college is a lot more expensive today than it was when I went to school. So I was really encouraged to see that occur in real life and having a conversation with another parent about challenging the college as a status quo per se. We've talked previously about TJ, our oldest, who's 16. He runs a landscaping business here locally, and I would classify him as successful at it. At 16, we have to ask him to tone it down a bit, not take more customers on than you can handle. You still are 16, you're still a kid. You want to have fun, and you want to have a life. You don't want to be working all the time. He will oftentimes assure us that I'm fine, I've got it under control, and we do. He's a responsible teen entrepreneur, which is great. So back to the college story, but obviously he's made it very clear he has no intentions of going to college, and that is something that we respect in this household. That being said, I had a conversation with another parent who had a similar situation with a child, and I found it encouraging that the family was like-minded, that they were on the same page, that you don't need to go to college to be successful. We do need to find out where your strengths are and where what skill sets that you have that you can compound on and learn from and springboard from essentially into a career. So the trades are really a big career option right now. I know we're looking at having a deck replaced out back with a stamped concrete patio, and I'm almost terrified to get a quote because I know the price is going to be pretty high. Like the level of people the number of people that perform that role is not a lot. So we're going to be competing for their time and resources, and unless we did it ourselves, which I don't know, maybe we can learn how to do stamped concrete. But I was also listening to EntreLeadership this morning, and I'm not sure if it was the newest podcast with Mike Rowe and Dave Ramsey talking about the labor shortage and how this is impacting small business America and how it's going to continue to impact small business America. But ultimately, that people that have a solid work ethic and that are willing to learn are going to be the winners. I think that is ultimately what I settle on as a reminder, because it's easy to get frustrated that there's about 7 million men in the U.S. workforce that have opted out of working, so they're not even counted into the unemployment numbers. Ladies, I really hope that you're not involved with any of those 7 million men, because I couldn't imagine, even if I had a lot of money, I would still expect my husband to work. Lack of work leads to lots of despair and diseases of despair. So I'm just going to put it out there. Hopefully you don't get too much hate for that. But I believe that that's a real tragedy for this country, because we could be so much more productive if we had a full workforce. So, and I know there's probably a lot of reasons for that. Back to the college situation. I do have a presentation, and apologies, I have some pugs that are having a race. Do you believe that the college situation, I started drafting a course and talking to parents and talking to teens about considering college, whether college is worth it. College is not right for everybody. College does not guarantee success. The only thing that college guarantees is that you're spending money, and you're not guaranteed to get a return on your investment. When I went to college, I went to Penn State locally, and it was about $25,000 all in. That was my student loans. So I probably took extra, because at the time you could take a little bit of an extra living expense. And Penn State was about $25,000 for the year. For the 4-year degree. Today, I know if you go to main campus, and the cost to attend and to live at the main campus is going to cost you about $30,000 a year, and I'm not sure that Penn State gives a lot of aid. I don't know about you, but there is no degree on this planet that's worth $120,000 in my opinion. We have trained our youngest, Ryan, who wants to be a roller coaster engineer, to consider going to the community college for 2 years. So we've asked our youngest to consider the community college route of taking 2 years at community college for about $6,000 a year, and then attending a Pennsylvania state school for about $8,000 per year, if my math is correct. And then there's a master's degree program at Ohio State for roller coaster engineering. And all in, today's cost is priced at about $85,000. And that's still a lot of money, but if a child, they know what they want to do, they have a good idea of what that career entails, and will likely receive return on investment, they have a career path, I think that's a worthy cause. I would not advise a student who doesn't know what they want to do when they grow up to go to college and just kind of figure it out. I would consider exploring careers, different careers that are in demand, as well as what careers align with the student's strengths. So if the student is really good at math and science, what careers would align with that? If the student's really good at using their hands to create, then I would see if they could entertain a trade, especially being like a carpenter or somebody who can do construction around the house, remodeling houses. On this EntreLeadership podcast this morning, it came up that residential construction is a huge area where not a lot of people are available to do the work. And if you have a good quality product that you can pretty much price point wherever you want, and be in business for yourself. So there takes some skills to be able to, self-motivation to be able to manage your own business and be self-employed, but there's also a lot, because there is a lot of freedom. And on the counter side, there's a lot of freedom. So that's something worth considering, rather than letting a child go to college without really having any idea as to what they want to do. So a recent article, I believe it was in I don't know if it was the Wall Street Journal, that said that 40% of college graduates surveyed stated that college was a poor choice for them, that they really didn't feel as though it was worth it. And that's really disappointing. Again, pointing back to we're sending these kids to college, assuming that college today is the same as it was 10, 20, 30 years ago, and it's not. It's significantly increased in price. And then also, if a student's taking out student loans, they're not even the same student loans as the student loans that we had or that I had 20-some years ago. Is it really that long ago? Yeah, I'm getting old. So back in the day when I had student loans, you didn't have to necessarily make payments during school. Payments started 6 months after you graduated. And then, when you drop down to, was it less than half time, or when you graduated? I'm just going to say graduated because that's what I remember. And then some of your student loans were subsidized, and those student loans would not accrue interest while you were in college. The ones that were non-subsidized probably did, but the interest rate that we paid back then was 3% and 4% as well. So you weren't hooked up to these student loans as a lifetime debt that you had to pay back, like students are now. So I think as parents, we have to have a crucial conversation with our children about, first off, about being debt avoidant. I think that's number one. And some parents will say, well, you need debt. And I would argue that you don't. I've learned the hard way on this. And I believe that there's more benefit to saving up, working as you go through college. And if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have done it differently, because students that work during college actually do better. People that can multitask and have deadlines do better. The conversation around the college experience really has to be challenged. What does that even mean? So you want to go to a college where there's parties or underage drinking, or you just want to live away from mom and dad, because you can do that while you attend community college as well, just as easily, and while you're working. So I think that we have to have a little bit more of a conversation around that, and to set our kids up for success, because we don't want to send our children into the world with significant debt from the get-go. we really should do our best job as parents. And the advice to avoid debt is in the Bible. It's not something that like any human created. This is best practice. If you want a life of less stress, less anxiety, more freedom, that is a life of no debt, not owing, not being a slave to the lender, because the borrower is a slave to the lender. So that's just some thoughts I had on the college experience and just kind of wanting to share that with parents. Maybe you have kids that are young, maybe you have kids that are teenagers that are approaching those college questions and really challenging why they want to go to college, what they want to do when they grow up, whether a college degree is required for entry, whether they can complete an apprenticeship or a work on the job experience so that they get familiar with what the job entails. I'm certain that there are plenty of students out there. I know for me, I started my career in accounting. I know, don't roll your eyes. But my mom was in accounting. She worked in accounting. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I went to school, I got a business degree, and I started working in accounting. It's a job that made me like want to cry, poke my eyes out. Like it was terrible. And ultimately wound up going back for my nursing degree, went into nursing. But at the time I was going into college, into clinicals, I also fell into working in the field of clinical research. And that was fun. It used a skill set that was very innate to me. It involved leading teams, talking to people, communicating, managing timelines, later on in the process, managing budgets. And hello, if you haven't noticed, that is kind of my thing. So it wound up being a very good skill set for me. And then when I finished, a very good fit for me, I should say. And then when I finished my nursing degree and sat for my boards, I worked in pediatric nursing for about 10 years, but I did it all float pool because leaving clinical research to go work in nursing would have required full-time, would have required giving up weekends, more weekends than I was willing to give up having children, a significant cut in pay, which is really embarrassing because I think that we need to pay nurses more, and would have also kind of just removed a lot of flexibility that I had already found in the clinical development area. So that's that. But long story short, all of that to say that I would have bet you if I had an opportunity to, and a parent that really challenged me to think about, what do you want to do when you grow up? Okay, go shadow somebody that's doing that job for a semester or a summer and see day in, day out what they do. And if that's something that you could see yourself doing for 20, 30, 40 years. I think that in and of itself would be a solution for students to learn, hey, I could see myself doing this, or hey, I couldn't. And as I said, we have one, TJ's being 16 and working in his, managing his landscaping business and managing the business in and of itself, managing customers, working on that communication, scheduling his customers, communicating with his customers every week about whether they need their lawn serviced or if they don't, because he is different than any other landscaper in the area. He doesn't mow lawns unless your lawn needs to be mowed. He doesn't just show up once a week, collect a paycheck from you or collect payment from you. He actually cares about his customers and he checks. And if the customer's lawn if they live like in the neighborhood and it doesn't look like it needs to be mowed, he'll tell them, I don't think it's long enough that it needs to be mowed. So I can still mow it if you want, but we could probably wait until later this week or early next week, and kind of gives the customer the pass to let them know. So there are some crucial skills that have been learned in that whole process that any classroom is not going to teach him. And then going to college, because we still get a little bit of pushback from some members of the family that he should go to college to learn how to manage the books, is kind of something else that comes up from time to time. But that's, if TJ is not comfortable or doesn't want to spend any more time in the classroom environment, then I think that we will find ways outside of college to help educate him in those areas, because hello, YouTube. So. All right, so I hope you found this helpful, and hopefully you're having these conversations with your kids about what their future holds. I know sometimes when they're young, they don't want to talk about adulting. I don't want to adult most days, to be honest with you, but hopefully you found this helpful. Have some conversations and set your kids up for success. So get to work.